On January 12th, I became a mom at 17. Here is my birth story. I was in labor for 36 hours and I pushed for 2-3 hours. And I know that sounds really bad, but I honestly think it flew by. I started having contractions 2 days before I went into the hospital, but I was trying to wait as long as I could before going into the hospital just because I didn't want them to send me home. But the night before I went in, I was at Abel's house, which is the baby's dad. All of his friends were over and my contractions started becoming 5 minutes apart, but it was a little bit inconsistent, so I decided to wait. All of a sudden, my pants started feeling wet and I didn't think it was my water. I thought I was just peeing my pants. I was like, oh, maybe the baby's pushing really hard on my bladder, because it wasn't just like a huge gush. Later, I found out it was my water, but I didn't think anything of it and I tried to go to sleep that night. I didn't sleep the whole time. Every 5 minutes, like I said, I was getting a contraction. So as soon as I was about to fall asleep, I would wake up and there would be a contraction. At like 4 in the morning, I couldn't take it anymore. I just got up. I started straightening my hair. I was like, okay, I'm about to give birth soon. I need to look cute. And I told Abel's mom about me peeing my pants and she was like, it might be your water. And then I started to get a little worried and thinking that I should maybe go into the hospital. But I still waited. Me and Abel left his house. I went to my house and I wanted to see if I could kind of speed things up. So I was on my ball. I was drinking lots of pineapple juice and all the stuff like that, curb walking. But I started to think I should really go in just in case it was my water, because you can only have your baby 24 hours after your water breaks without them being introduced to risk of infection. I think it was about like maybe 10-11 in the morning, I'm not really sure, but me and Abel packed up and went to triage, which is like pregnancy emergency room. Told them what was going on. They didn't really think I was in labor, but they still checked me and they found out that my water did in fact break and I was 4 centimeters dilated. So they admitted me and we got our labor and delivery room, which was super nice. It was really big. They gave me an IV for just fluids. It was a saline lock, so nothing was going into it. It's only if I needed stuff. So first they poked me like down here. They popped my vein. Then they had to do it again up here. They popped this vein also. So I ended up having to get it on my hand. You can't really see on camera, but it's all bruised. Luckily, I don't hate needles, but I do hear girls saying that that's the worst part of birth. And if I did hate needles, I would definitely agree. I knew I didn't have much time to give birth since my water had broken the night before. So I was on that ball. I was doing lunges, squats, everything. At this point, I was still unmedicated. And I got in the bathtub to try and speed things up also. That was super relaxing. Highly recommend if you're in labor. It really wasn't that bad, but nothing was progressing. It was like every 5 minutes, but still nothing. They came in to check me and they saw I was 6 centimeters dilated. And they recommended I get Pitocin since I wasn't progressing. And we didn't want the baby to be at risk for infection because I am GBS positive. And that's when things really started turning. I started crying because, as most of you guys know, I wanted an unmedicated labor. That was my ultimate goal. I really didn't want to get Pitocin, so I decided to wait. Plan was to wait an hour. If I still hadn't progressed, then I would get a low dose of Pitocin. Nothing happened in that hour, so they gave me Pitocin. They started me at a level 2 and I got all the way up to a level 8. Things were going really good until I got to an 8. I was screaming, I was crying, literally just like the movies. It was brutal. I was doing really good up until then. I blame the Pitocin, but breathing through everything and having a labor comb definitely helped me throughout everything. But it was really bad. I was definitely struggling. My contractions were right next to each other. There was no break in between for me to take a breath or anything, and they were really strong due to the Pitocin. So I thought getting in the bath again might help. So I got in the bath again. And at this point, I hadn't slept in 2 or 3 days because I was having contractions throughout the night. I was so tired. My body was tired. The bathtub did not help this time. It was just really intense. I really did not want the epidural. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do because I have had no sleep. I'm so tired and these are really bad. At this point, I was like 6 to 8 centimeters. I don't really remember. I knew I wasn't in the right headspace. I didn't want to make a decision I was going to regret. So I asked Abel what should I do based off of how he saw me, and he said that I probably should get the epidural and that he thinks I could have done it if I had more sleep and all of that, yada yada. And everyone pretty much agreed. It was a really hard decision for me to make. I was crying about it. I knew that the Pitocin was going to make me have to do that. Those of you who go through birth on Pitocin with no pain medication, props to you guys, because that Pitocin fucked me up. So I decided to get the epidural. They made everyone leave the room since it's like a sterile thing with the needle in the back and all that, which was really hard because the only thing getting me through was my mom and Abel pushing on my back because I had really bad back labor. That's where I felt all my contractions. So if you're pregnant, do not slouch. Get up right now. Fix that posture. You don't want back labor. No. So when they left, I was still, you know, screaming, crying, but even worse because I didn't have anyone doing counter pressure on my back. It's super still for that epidural, and oh my god, that was like the scariest thing in my life. So I stayed still as hard as I could, and they placed it, and honestly I did not feel a thing. Like, if you guys are scared about the epidural, that is nothing. Especially my body was more focused on my contractions. I did not feel them put in the epidural. They also numb your back before, which most people don't talk about. I am really happy that I got the epidural in the end. But after they gave me the epidural, I was able to take a nap, and I slept, and that was so good because I hadn't gone to sleep in so long. My body was really confused though. I couldn't feel my legs, obviously, but it was such a weird feeling. Like, that was like bugging me. It was really uncomfortable that I couldn't feel my legs. So it was still like an uncomfortable feeling, but it wasn't the contractions. I was still able to pick up my legs and kind of move them. I just couldn't move like my hip area. But I took a nap, woke up the next morning at like 6 in the morning ish. They came in, they checked me. I was 10 centimeters dilated. I was like, hello, because I wasn't feeling anything. They woke me up from my nap and suddenly I was ready to push. I don't know.